There is a version of you that the world has never met. A version that does not beg for approval, does not collapse under pressure, and does not lose himself when life tears everything away. He exists in silence, hidden beneath years of fear, comfort, disappointment, and noise. Most people die without ever meeting him. Today, that changes. Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover that everything you spent years building has vanished. Your reputation is gone. Your money is gone. The people who once called themselves your friends no longer answer your calls. The future you carefully planned has disappeared overnight. Most people would call that the end of a life. The Stoics called it the beginning of a stronger one. More than 2,000 years ago, there were men who faced disasters far greater than most of us will ever experience. They watched empires fall, buried the people they loved, endured exile, slavery, betrayal, poverty, and the constant shadow of death. Yet history remembers them for one reason. Life could wound their bodies, but it could never conquer their minds. That is why the names of Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Musonius Rufus, and the great Stoic masters have survived, while the names of the emperors who tried to destroy them have been forgotten. Modern life teaches you to escape discomfort. Every inconvenience is removed before you have the chance to grow stronger. Every painful emotion is numbed before it has the chance to teach you something. Every challenge is treated like an enemy instead of the forge that shapes character. Slowly, almost invisibly, this creates a person who appears successful on the outside but becomes fragile within. A single rejection breaks his confidence. A single failure destroys his identity. A single betrayal convinces him that life has defeated him. But the Stoics saw something the modern world has forgotten. They understood that strength is never built when life is easy. Iron becomes a sword only after surviving the fire. Mountains are carved by storms, not by sunshine. Diamonds are created under unbearable pressure. Nature has always followed the same law. Everything that becomes extraordinary first survives what ordinary things cannot. In this video, you are about to discover 8 timeless Stoic rules that have survived for more than 2,000 years. These are not theories created for classrooms or motivational slogans designed to make you feel inspired for a few minutes. They are battle-tested principles that shaped emperors, philosophers, warriors, and ordinary men who refused to let the world decide the condition of their minds. If understood deeply, these 8 rules can fundamentally change the way you face fear, pressure, uncertainty, and every storm life places before you. This is not a video to watch casually. It is a journey that demands your attention, because somewhere within these 8 timeless rules may be the single idea that changes the way you think forever. So before we begin, ask yourself one question. When the next storm enters your life, and sooner or later it will you become another victim carried away by the wind? Or will you become the person who remains standing when everything else falls? Let's begin. Rule 1. You do not control the storm. You control the sail. Stand on the edge of the ocean for a moment and watch a storm arrive. The waves do not ask for permission before they rise. The wind does not care about your plans. The sky does not stop because you hoped for a peaceful day. Nature has never negotiated with human desire. Yet every experienced sailor understands something that the frightened passenger never does. His survival has never depended on controlling the storm. It has always depended on controlling himself. This single truth became the foundation of Stoicism, not because it makes life easier, but because it makes a person stronger than life itself. Every fear that steals your sleep, every disappointment that drains your energy, every anxiety about tomorrow begins with the same illusion. that you are supposed to control things that were never yours to control. The moment you accept that illusion, your peace becomes a prisoner of circumstances. Epictetus understood this better than almost anyone who has ever lived. Before he became one of history's greatest philosophers, he lived as a slave. His freedom belonged to another man. His body could be beaten. His future could be decided by someone else's command. Yet the one thing his master could never own was his mind. While others allowed suffering to define them, Epictetus quietly discovered the greatest weapon a human being could ever possess. No one can imprison the person who refuses to surrender the freedom of his own judgment. Most people spend their lives fighting invisible battles they were never meant to win. They try to control how people see them. They replay conversations that ended years ago. They chase approval from strangers who barely remember their names. They obsess over outcomes that have not happened yet. They exhaust themselves trying to force reality to obey their expectations. Then, when reality refuses, they mistake that failure for weakness. It was never weakness. It was simply the wrong battle. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire on earth, yet every night he reminded himself of something that most ordinary people never understand. He could command armies, but not disease. He could rule nations, but not death. He could influence millions, but never control another human soul. If the most powerful man alive accepted those limits without resentment, why do we destroy our peace demanding control over things even emperors could never possess? Imagine two men losing the same job on the same morning. One spends months drowning in anger, blaming the economy, blaming his manager, blaming luck, blaming everyone except the only place where real power still exists. The other allows himself one honest moment of disappointment, then asks a different question. What can I control before the sun sets today? That single question changes everything. By evening, he has updated his resume, contacted old friends, learned a new skill, and taken the first step toward rebuilding his future. Same loss, same world, completely different destiny. This is why the Stoics never measured a person by what happened to them. They measured them by the quality of their response. Circumstances reveal character. They do not create it. Pressure simply exposes what has been living inside you all along. When the storm arrives, panic cannot build courage. It can only reveal whether courage was already there. Nature teaches this lesson without speaking a single word. The oak tree does not argue with the wind. The river does not become angry at the mountain standing in its way. Fire does not complain because it burns. Everything in nature accepts reality first and acts second. Only human beings waste years resisting what has already happened. We argue with yesterday while tomorrow quietly disappears. From this moment forward, practice one discipline that can change the course of your entire life. Whenever something painful happens, stop before your emotions take control. Ask yourself one question with complete honesty. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, release it without apology. If the answer is yes, stop complaining and begin acting. Your energy is too valuable to spend on battles that reality has already decided. Master this first law, and you will discover something extraordinary. Life does not become easier. The storms do not become smaller. People do not suddenly become kinder. But something far more important happens. You become the kind of person whose inner peace is no longer determined by the weather outside. And once that happens, the world loses its greatest weapon against you. Because every unbreakable mind begins with the same decision: to stop chasing the wind and finally learn how to command the sail. Rule 2. Voluntary hardship is the fire that reveals who you really are. Every human being wants the same thing: a life without pain, a future without uncertainty, a path where every door opens, Every relationship survives. Every dream unfolds exactly as imagined. It sounds beautiful until you realize that nothing in nature has ever become powerful without first becoming uncomfortable. The strongest tree grows where the wind never stops. The deepest roots are forced into the earth by drought, not by rain. Nature has never rewarded comfort. It has always rewarded adaptation. The modern world has quietly convinced you that comfort is success. Food arrives before hunger teaches patience. Entertainment arrives before silence teaches reflection. Answers arrive before curiosity teaches wisdom. Every inconvenience is removed before resilience has the chance to grow. Day after day, your body becomes more comfortable while your spirit becomes weaker. Then one ordinary tragedy enters your life, and suddenly you discover that the greatest danger was never the tragedy itself. It was the years you spent becoming too comfortable to face it. Musonius Rufus saw this danger nearly 2,000 years ago. He warned that a man who has never willingly entered discomfort will eventually be dragged into it by life itself. The difference is profound. Chosen hardship strengthens your character. Unexpected hardship exposes its absence. One prepares you, the other reveals you. Life always gives the same examination. It only changes whether you studied beforehand. Imagine two swords lying beside each other. One has never touched the fire. It shines beautifully. It looks perfect. The other has been burned until it glowed red, hammered thousands of times, plunged into freezing water, and returned to the fire again and again. To the untrained eye, both appear equal, but the first real battle reveals the truth. One bends under pressure. The other becomes the very reason the battle is won. Human character follows the same law. The fire never destroys true strength. It uncovers it. Seneca understood this so deeply that he practiced poverty even while surrounded by wealth. He deliberately wore rough clothing, ate simple meals, and slept without luxury, not because suffering was holy, but because dependence was dangerous. Every voluntary discomfort whispered the same question into his soul. If everything you own disappeared tomorrow, who would remain? That question terrified most people. Seneca wanted to answer it long before life demanded the answer. Think about your own fears for a moment. Why does losing money frighten people so deeply? Why does rejection feel unbearable? Why does failure seem like the end of identity? It is rarely because these events are truly unbearable. It is because the imagination has never been trained to survive them. Fear grows strongest around experiences we have never willingly faced. The unknown always appears larger than reality. This is why soldiers train in exhausting conditions before they ever see a battlefield. Why athletes willingly endure pain while no one is watching. Why ancient philosophers embraced moments of discomfort that others spent their lives avoiding. They understood a law that history keeps proving again and again. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Every difficult thing you willingly survive becomes silent evidence that you can survive the next one too. Confidence is never built through positive thinking. It is built through remembered endurance. There is another layer hidden beneath this principle, one that most people never discover. Voluntary hardship is not training your muscles. It is training your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, patience over impulse, silence over reaction, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. Character is never created in one dramatic moment. It is quietly sculpted through hundreds of invisible decisions that nobody applauds and almost nobody notices. Look at the mountains. They do not become magnificent overnight. They rise because unimaginable pressure remained constant for ages. Look at diamonds. They never ask the earth to remove the weight above them. The pressure becomes their beauty. Look at rivers. They never complain about the rocks that block their way. They become stronger because something resisted them. Nature has always whispered the same lesson. Resistance is not your enemy. Resistance is your sculptor. So stop asking life to become easier. Ask yourself to become harder to break. Stop praying for smaller storms. Become the person who can walk through larger ones without losing his peace. Every cold morning you refuse to surrender. Every difficult conversation you stop avoiding. Every temptation you choose not to obey. Every promise you keep when no one is watching. These moments seem ordinary while they happen, but together they build a mind that circumstances can no longer intimidate. Because one day, life will knock on your door without warning. It will not ask whether you feel ready. It will not care whether the timing is fair. In that moment, you will not rise to the level of your wishes. You will fall to the level of your preparation. And that is why the Stoics never feared hardship. They feared becoming the kind of person who needed comfort in order to remain strong. Rule 3. Rehearse the disaster before life rehearses it for you. There is a strange truth about fear that most people never discover. It is almost never created by reality. It is created by imagination. Long before life wounds you, your mind has already written 1,000 stories about how unbearable that wound will be. It convinces you that failure will destroy your identity, that rejection will erase your worth, that loss will leave you empty forever. Then one day, you realize something astonishing. You were never fighting reality. You were fighting a story your own mind invented. The Stoics refused to become prisoners of imaginary disasters. While the rest of the world distracted itself from uncomfortable thoughts, they walked directly toward them. They asked questions that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. What if I lose everything? What if the people I love leave? What if my plans collapse tomorrow? What if the future I imagined never arrives? Not because they loved darkness, but because they understood that every fear loses part of its power the moment you look directly into its eyes. Seneca called this practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. To an outsider, it appeared pessimistic. In reality, it was one of the most liberating mental disciplines ever created. He knew something that modern minds often forget. The unknown is always more terrifying than the known. Fear survives in shadows. It shrinks in light. A monster hidden behind a closed door appears enormous until the door is finally opened. Imagine walking through a dense forest after sunset. Every branch becomes a threat. Every sound becomes a predator. Every shadow feels alive. Your imagination begins creating dangers that never existed. But then the morning sun rises. The same forest is still there. The same trees remain. Yet almost every fear disappears, not because the forest changed, but because darkness no longer controlled your perception. This is exactly what Stoic visualization does. It replaces emotional darkness with conscious awareness. Marcus Aurelius practiced this discipline before the world had a chance to test him. Before leaving his room each morning, he reminded himself that he would meet selfish people, dishonest people, arrogant people, impatient people, and ungrateful people. Why? Because expectations create emotional suffering. Reality rarely does. The man who expects perfection is broken by ordinary disappointment. The man who expects difficulty greets it like an old traveler meeting familiar roads. Most people secretly believe confidence comes from expecting everything to go well. The Stoics believed the opposite. Real confidence is born from knowing that even if everything goes wrong, you will remain yourself. The strongest person is not the one who believes disaster will never come. The strongest person is the one who has already decided who he will become when it does. Think about a master chess player. Before touching a single piece, he has already imagined dozens of possible defeats. Every attack has been rehearsed. Every sacrifice has been considered. Every dangerous position has already existed inside his mind long before it appears on the board. When the unexpected finally happens, he does not panic. He recognizes it. His calm is not natural talent. It is prepared awareness. He has visited that moment before. Life works exactly the same way. One day your career may change without warning. One day someone you trusted may betray you. One day illness may enter your home. One day the future you carefully designed may disappear overnight. The Stoics never asked whether these things would happen. They asked a far more important question: who will I be when they do? Because circumstances may arrive without permission, but character is always a decision. Here is the greatest misunderstanding about this practice. It is not about expecting tragedy. It is about removing its ability to surprise your soul. A surprise creates panic. Preparation creates presence. Panic clouds judgment. Presence reveals solutions. The event may be exactly the same, but the mind experiencing it has become completely different. Nature reveals this law with breathtaking simplicity. Before winter arrives, the trees begin letting go of their leaves. The rivers slow their movement. The birds prepare for migration long before the temperature changes. Nothing in nature waits for the storm before preparing for it. Only human beings convince themselves that preparation is pessimism, then wonder why unexpected hardship leaves them shattered. So spend a few quiet moments every week asking yourself difficult questions. If everything changed tomorrow, what values would remain untouched? If success disappeared, would your identity disappear with it? If the world stripped away your comfort, your possessions, your titles, and your applause, what part of you could never be taken away? That is the part the Stoics spent their lives strengthening, because they knew that anything life can take from you was never the foundation of lasting peace. The world tells you to think only positive thoughts. The Stoics taught something infinitely more powerful. Think clearly. See reality before it arrives. Meet fear before fear meets you. Then, when life finally knocks on your door with suffering in its hands, it will not find a frightened victim waiting behind that door. It will find someone who has already opened it in his mind and learned that courage was standing there all along. Rule 4. The obstacle is not standing in your way. It is showing you who you are. Every person believes they are strong until life disagrees. It is easy to call yourself patient when nothing tests your patience. It is easy to call yourself brave when nothing threatens what you love. It is easy to believe you have inner peace while everything around you is going exactly the way you planned. But the moment life changes its direction, the truth appears. Obstacles never create character. They expose it. They reveal the person that was hiding beneath comfort all along. Most people spend their entire lives asking the wrong question. They ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They search for someone to blame. They blame fate, bad luck, difficult people, the economy, their childhood, or the unfairness of the world. Every answer they find gives them temporary relief, but none of those answers make them stronger. The Stoics asked a completely different question. What is this obstacle trying to teach me that comfort never could? That single question transforms suffering from an enemy into a teacher. Marcus Aurelius wrote something extraordinary while surrounded by war, disease, betrayal, and death. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Those words were not written inside a peaceful palace by a man enjoying luxury. They were written by an emperor sleeping in military camps, watching friends die, carrying the weight of an empire on exhausted shoulders. He was not describing an ideal world. He was describing reality itself. Imagine a river flowing toward the sea. Eventually it meets an enormous mountain of stone. The river does not complain. It does not waste centuries wishing the mountain was somewhere else. It simply begins to move differently. Sometimes it flows around the rock, sometimes beneath it. Sometimes it patiently carves through it one drop at a time. Years pass, then centuries. Eventually, the mountain that looked permanent begins to disappear. The river wins, not because it was stronger in a single moment, but because it refused to stop moving. Human beings often do the exact opposite. One rejection convinces them they are unworthy. One failure convinces them they are incapable. One betrayal convinces them nobody can be trusted again. They allow a single chapter to become the definition of the entire book. Yet, history has never remembered people because life was easy for them. History remembers those who transformed obstacles into the very reason they became extraordinary. Cleanthes understood this better than anyone. Before becoming the leader of the Stoic school, he spent his nights carrying heavy buckets of water through the streets simply to pay for his education. While others slept, he worked. While others rested, he endured. Many people would have seen poverty as proof that life was against them. Cleanthes saw something different. Every burden he carried with his hands was quietly strengthening the mind that would one day influence generations. Look carefully at nature again. A pearl begins with an irritation. An oyster never chooses the grain of sand that enters its shell. It simply responds. Layer after layer, what began as pain becomes beauty. The pearl is not created despite the irritation. It exists because of it. The obstacle did not interrupt the process. The obstacle became the process. This is the secret the modern world desperately tries to avoid. We are taught to remove difficulty as quickly as possible. The Stoics believed something far more powerful. They believed that every hardship arrives carrying a hidden invitation, not an invitation to enjoy suffering, but an invitation to become someone suffering can no longer control. So the next time life places a wall in front of you, resist the urge to ask, "How do I escape this?" Instead ask, "Who could I become because of this?" That single question may change the direction of your entire life, because sometimes the door you keep searching for does not exist. Sometimes, life is waiting for you to become the person who no longer needs the door. Rule 5. Master the pause or become a slave to every emotion. The greatest battles of your life will never be fought with your hands. They will be fought in the space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. That space is invisible. Most people never notice it exists. Life strikes them and they react instantly. Someone insults them, and anger speaks before wisdom can breathe. Someone betrays them, and revenge becomes their first language. A single moment steals years of peace, not because the moment was powerful, but because they surrendered the only thing that truly belonged to them, their response. The Stoics understood a truth that modern life desperately tries to ignore. Every emotion arrives like a visitor. It knocks on the door of your mind, asking to be heard. But emotions were never meant to become kings. They are messengers, not masters. Anger brings information. Fear brings caution. Grief reminds us of love. Yet the moment you allow any emotion to take control of your judgment, the messenger quietly climbs onto the throne and begins ruling your entire life. Imagine a calm mountain lake just before sunrise. The surface is so still that it reflects the sky with perfect clarity. Every cloud, every star, every beam of light appears exactly as it is. Now imagine throwing a single stone into that water. The reflection immediately shatters. The sky itself has not changed. Reality remains exactly the same. Only the surface has become disturbed. This is what emotion does to an untrained mind. The world does not become distorted. Your perception does. And every decision made in disturbed water carries the distortion with it. Epictetus warned his students never to confuse an event with the story they immediately attach to it. Someone insults you. That is an event. Telling yourself your dignity has been destroyed. That is a story. You lose money. That is an event. Deciding your future is over. That is a story. A relationship ends. That is an event. Believing you are impossible to love. That is a story. Human suffering rarely begins with reality. It begins with the meaning we assign to reality before wisdom has had the chance to speak. This is why the Stoics trained themselves to pause, not because they were slow, not because they lacked emotion, but because they understood that the first impulse is often the voice of fear, pride, or wounded ego, not the voice of reason. The strongest mind is not the fastest to react, it is the slowest to surrender. In that brief silence between stimulus and response, destiny quietly changes direction. Think of an archer standing before his target. Once the arrow leaves the bow, it can never be called back. Every careless word is exactly the same. Every angry decision, every impulsive action. Once released, they begin a journey beyond your control. Entire friendships have died because of a sentence spoken in 10 seconds. Entire families have been broken by a decision made in one emotional evening. Entire lives have changed because someone refused to wait a single minute before acting. Time has a strange gift. It weakens emotion while strengthening clarity. The pause allows wisdom to arrive before regret does. Nature has always understood this law. A lion does not attack the moment it sees movement. It watches, it waits, it measures. Every ounce of its power comes from disciplined patience, not restless urgency. The tallest trees survive violent storms because they bend before they break. The stars themselves move in perfect silence, never rushing, never forcing, never competing. Strength has never belonged to the loudest force. It has always belonged to the most controlled one. Marcus Aurelius carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders. Every day he received news of betrayal, rebellion, corruption, and death. Imagine how many opportunities he had to act out of anger. Yet before attempting to govern the Roman Empire, he governed something infinitely more difficult, his own mind. He knew that a ruler who cannot command his emotions will eventually become their servant. The empire outside always reflects the empire within. Here is the tragedy of the modern world. People mistake emotional intensity for authenticity. They say, "I just speak my mind. I just follow my feelings. This is who I am." But the Stoics would ask a different question. Are those feelings serving your highest self, or are they simply controlling you? Freedom is not doing whatever you feel. Freedom is choosing which feelings deserve your obedience. So the next time life provokes you, resist the temptation to prove your strength immediately. Instead, become silent. Let your anger arrive without giving it a throne. Let fear speak without allowing it to make decisions. Let pride knock without opening the door. Because every emotion becomes weaker the moment it realizes you will not obey it blindly. Remember this: anyone can react, anyone can shout, anyone can seek revenge, but only a disciplined soul can remain still while chaos demands a response. And that is why silence has defeated more enemies than anger ever could. Because the person who masters the pause no longer belongs to his emotions. His emotions begin to belong to him. Rule 6. Stop taking everything personally, and the world loses its power over you. There is a prison so invisible that millions of people spend their entire lives inside it without ever realizing the door was never locked. Every insult becomes a wound. Every criticism feels like an attack. Every rejection becomes proof that they are not enough. They wake up each morning carrying the weight of opinions that do not belong to them, fighting battles that exist only inside their own minds. The tragedy is not that people judge them. The tragedy is that they hand those judgments the authority to define who they are. The Stoics understood something that changes the entire relationship between you and the world. People do not see you as you are, they see you as they are. Every opinion passes through the filter of another person's fears, desires, insecurities, experiences, ambitions, and wounds. The angry man finds enemies everywhere because anger lives inside him. The jealous man sees arrogance where none exists because envy has already distorted his vision. The dishonest man suspects betrayal in everyone because betrayal has become the language of his own character. Their judgment is rarely a mirror of you. More often, it is a mirror of themselves. Imagine standing before a perfectly still lake. If the water is clear, your reflection appears exactly as it is. But disturb the water with mud, waves, or darkness, and your reflection suddenly looks twisted and broken. Did your face change? No, only the surface looking back at you changed. Human beings work the same way. When someone's mind is clouded by pride, resentment, fear, or insecurity, they cannot reflect reality clearly. Yet most people spend years trying to fix a reflection that was never accurate to begin with. Epictetus warned that if someone insults you, the insult itself has no power until you agree with it. Think about that for a moment. An insult is nothing more than sound traveling through the air. It becomes pain only after your mind accepts it as truth. That means the greatest part of suffering does not enter from the outside. It is quietly manufactured within. The world can throw words at you all day long, but only you can decide whether those words become chains or simply disappear like echoes in an empty valley. Marcus Aurelius ruled over millions of people, yet every decision he made created both admiration and hatred. Some praised him as the greatest emperor Rome had ever seen. Others called him weak. Others believed he was too harsh. Others believed he was too merciful. Imagine trying to satisfy all of them. It would have been impossible. So Marcus stopped trying. He realized that if one man calls you a hero while another calls you a failure on the very same day, then neither opinion can possibly define your worth. Truth cannot depend on the mood of the observer. Nature reveals this wisdom with breathtaking simplicity. The sun never shines differently because someone curses it. The mountain never lowers itself because travelers complain about the climb. The ocean never apologizes for its waves. They continue fulfilling their nature without negotiating with every passing opinion. Yet human beings abandon their own path because of a stranger's sentence spoken in a moment of emotion. We allow temporary voices to interrupt permanent purpose. There is another truth hidden beneath this law, perhaps the most liberating of all. The people who hurt others most deeply are often revealing wounds they have never healed themselves. A cruel person is rarely at peace. A bitter soul is usually carrying invisible pain. A person desperate to humiliate others is often fighting silent battles with his own reflection. This does not excuse harmful behavior, but it changes the way you respond to it. compassion becomes possible where revenge once lived. Understanding replaces unnecessary hatred. Think of an old oak tree standing alone through every season. Children carve their names into its bark. Storms tear away its branches. Travelers rest beneath its shade without ever thanking it. Birds build nests, then fly away. Winter strips it bare. Spring dresses it in green once again. Through every season, the tree remains rooted in its own nature. It does not become smaller because someone ignored it. It does not become greater because someone admired it. Its strength comes from its roots, never from applause. Ask yourself honestly, how many decisions in your life were made simply because you feared another person's opinion? How many dreams remained unfinished because criticism arrived before courage? How many nights were lost replaying words spoken by people who had already forgotten them the next morning? Imagine how much of your life could return to you if you stopped giving strangers permission to write the story of your identity. The Stoics never asked the world for approval. They asked themselves a far more difficult question every evening. Did I live according to my principles today? If the answer was yes, praise became unnecessary. If the answer was no, criticism from others became irrelevant, because the only judgment that truly mattered had already been delivered by their own conscience. Remember this: the day you stop carrying every opinion that others throw at you, the day you stop measuring your value by applause or rejection, the day you become rooted in character instead of reputation, is the day the world loses one of its greatest weapons against you. Because no insult can break the person who no longer asks strangers to decide who he is. Rule 7. Character is what remains when everything else is taken away. There comes a moment in every human life when titles lose their meaning. Wealth becomes powerless. Beauty begins to fade. Fame falls silent. The applause disappears. The people who once surrounded you suddenly find somewhere else to be. And in that unbearable silence, life asks a question that no achievement can answer. Without everything you have, who are you? Most people spend their entire lives building an identity that depends on things they were never meant to own forever. They believe they are their success until failure arrives. They believe they are their reputation until someone spreads a lie. They believe they are their possessions until life takes them away. They build their souls on foundations that time was always destined to destroy. Then one day, the storm comes, not to punish them, but to reveal what was built on sand. The Stoics understood that the only possession life can never truly steal is character. Everything else is borrowed. Your health is borrowed. Your youth is borrowed. Your influence is borrowed. Even the people you love are gifts entrusted to you, not promises that they will remain forever. But courage, integrity, wisdom, justice, self-control, these are treasures that no emperor can confiscate, no thief can steal, and no tragedy can erase unless you willingly surrender them yourself. Imagine standing before an ancient lighthouse during the darkest night of the year. Waves crash against its walls with unimaginable violence. The wind screams through the sky. Lightning tears the horizon apart. Ships disappear into the darkness. Yet the lighthouse does not chase the storm. It does not beg the sea for mercy. It simply continues doing what it was built to do. It stands, it shines, it remains. The storm eventually passes. The lighthouse remains exactly where it has always been. This is what Stoic character looks like. It is not loud. It does not seek attention. It quietly refuses to become something different simply because life became difficult. Marcus Aurelius wrote his private thoughts while surrounded by betrayal, plague, political corruption, and endless war. Yet among all those pages, He rarely asked how to control the empire before asking how to control himself. He knew a truth that almost every generation forgets. A man who cannot govern his own soul will eventually lose everything else he tries to govern. Victory over the world is meaningless if you have already been defeated by your own desires. History keeps proving this lesson. Some men conquered kingdoms but were conquered by greed. Others built fortunes but were destroyed by pride. Some commanded millions yet became slaves to anger, pleasure, or fear. The world remembers their achievements, but it also remembers their collapse. Why? Because talent may earn admiration, but only character earns trust. And when history chooses who deserves to be remembered, it always places character above success. Nature has always whispered this truth. The tallest tree in the forest is not admired because it grew quickly. It is admired because it remained standing after seasons that destroyed everything around it. Every scar upon its bark tells the story of a storm it refused to surrender to. The scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of endurance. Human character is no different. Your deepest wounds do not reduce your value. If faced with wisdom, they become proof that life tested you and failed to make you abandon yourself. There is another truth hidden here, one so powerful that most people spend their entire lives running from it. Every decision you make when nobody is watching is quietly shaping the person you will become when everybody is watching. Integrity is never built in public. It is forged in invisible moments, in the temptation nobody else knows about, in the promise you keep when breaking it would be easier, in the truth you choose even when lying would protect your image. Character is not created during extraordinary moments. Extraordinary moments simply reveal the character you have been building in ordinary ones. Ask yourself this: if every title disappeared tomorrow, if every possession vanished before sunrise, if every person forgot your name, would there still be something inside you worthy of respect? The Stoics devoted their entire lives to making sure the answer would always be yes, because they understood that the greatest achievement is not becoming famous. It is becoming the kind of person who remains honorable even when nobody is there to reward him. Remember, the world will always admire power. It will always chase wealth. It will always celebrate victory. But time eventually strips every human being of those things. When that day comes, only one question will remain. Did you become a better human being, or did you simply become a more successful one? The final law is the deepest of them all. It is the law that allowed the Stoics to face death itself without surrendering their peace. Because the moment you stop fearing the end is the moment you finally begin to live. Rule 8. Remember death, and you will finally learn how to live. There is a shadow that follows every human being from the moment of birth. It walks beside kings and beggars, philosophers and warriors, the rich and the poor. It never speaks, never hurries, and never forgets a single name. Most people spend their lives trying not to think about it, distracting themselves with noise, ambition, and endless activity. But the Stoics did something extraordinary. They turned toward that shadow and listened, not because they were obsessed with death, and not because they rejected life. They reflected on death because they loved life too deeply to waste it. They understood a truth that modern people often forget. When you believe time is endless, you treat it carelessly. You postpone dreams, delay difficult conversations, and wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. In trying to protect life, you slowly forget to live it. Marcus Aurelius wrote these words to himself again and again: "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do, what you say, and what you think. This was not a message of fear, it was a call to clarity, because when you remember that time is limited, trivial worries lose their power, Petty arguments become meaningless. The opinions of strangers grow silent. What remains is what has always mattered. Imagine a traveler walking through a vast desert as the sun slowly moves toward the horizon. Every step becomes more valuable because he understands that daylight is not endless. He does not waste time wandering in circles. He does not stop for every distraction. He walks with purpose because he knows something precious is passing with every moment. Human life is no different. Every day feels ordinary until one day you realize it was part of your limited number. Seneca said that it is not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it. Think about how much time disappears into worry about things that never happen. How many hours are lost seeking approval from people who barely think about us? How many opportunities vanish because fear convinced us to wait? The tragedy of life is not death itself. The tragedy is reaching the end and discovering that you spent years existing without truly living. Nature teaches this lesson quietly. Leaves fall from trees every autumn, yet the tree does not resist the season. The sun sets every evening without sadness. Rivers continue flowing toward the sea without fear of where the journey ends. Everything in nature accepts change, accepts endings, and continues fulfilling its purpose. Only human beings act as though life should be permanent, and because of that illusion, they suffer unnecessarily. The Stoics practiced memento mori. Remember that you must die. At first, these words sound dark, but hidden inside them is one of the most liberating ideas ever discovered. If your time is limited, then every moment becomes valuable. Every conversation matters, every act of kindness matters, every choice becomes meaningful. Death does not take value away from life, it gives life its value. Picture an ancient candle burning in a quiet room. It knows nothing of how long its flame will last, yet it does not spend its time fearing the darkness. It simply gives light while it can. Human beings often do the opposite. We spend so much energy fearing loss that we forget to shine. We postpone joy until success arrives. We postpone peace until circumstances improve. We postpone life itself, believing there will always be more time. But one day, without warning, time speaks. And in that moment, wealth cannot buy another hour. Power cannot delay the inevitable. Fame cannot negotiate with reality. The only thing that remains is the question: did you truly live? Did you become wiser, kinder, stronger, more courageous? Or did you spend your days chasing things that time was always destined to take away? This is why the Stoics were not afraid of death. They feared something far greater. They feared reaching the end of life and realizing they had never truly lived according to their values. They feared wasting the rare and beautiful gift of existence on anger, envy, distraction, and unnecessary fear. So remember this: you are not guaranteed another year, another month, or even another day. This is not a reason for sadness. It is a reason for awakening. Speak the words that matter. Build what is worth building. Become the person you know you can become. Because life is not measured by how long it lasts, but by how deeply it is lived. And perhaps that is the final lesson of Stoicism. When you stop fearing the end, you stop delaying the beginning. When you remember that time is precious, you stop wasting it. And when you accept that life is temporary, you finally learn how to live forever through the character you leave behind. There is an old Stoic belief that every human being dies twice. The first death comes when the body takes its final breath. But the second death comes much later, when the last trace of your character disappears from the hearts and minds of those you touched. The Stoics were never concerned with avoiding the first death. They devoted their lives to making sure the second one never arrived. Now look back at the path you have traveled today. You have learned that you cannot control the storm, only the sail. That voluntary hardship forges a mind comfort can never create. That fear loses its power when you face it before it arrives. That obstacles are not interruptions, but invitations to grow. That mastering the pause is greater than winning an argument. That another person's opinion cannot define your worth. That character is the only possession life can never steal. And finally, that remembering death is the very thing that teaches you how to live. These are not ideas meant to impress people during a conversation. They are principles meant to transform the quiet moments of your life. The moments when nobody is watching, nobody is applauding, and nobody even knows the battle you are fighting. Because that is where real strength is born. Not in public victories, but in private decisions. The world you return to after this video will not be different. The difficult people will still exist. Unexpected failures will still arrive. The storms will not ask for your permission before they appear. But if these laws take root inside you, something extraordinary will happen. The world may remain the same, yet the person walking through it will never be the same again. Years from now, you probably won't remember every sentence you heard today. But if you remember even one principle deeply enough to live it, this video will have done its job. Wisdom has never been measured by how much you know. It has always been measured by how much you become. So before you leave, ask yourself one final question. When life tests me tomorrow, will I react like the person I have always been? Or will I respond like the person I have decided to become? If this journey challenged the way you think, don't let it end here. Write in the comments which Stoic law spoke to you the most, and why. Someone reading your words may find exactly the lesson they need today. If you seek timeless wisdom, deeper philosophy, and practical principles that strengthen the mind instead of feeding the ego, subscribe to the channel and become part of this journey. Until next time, protect your peace, master your mind, and remember, the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. It is the one who has learned to remain unshaken, no matter what life places in his path.